So want to let you know that I know like your personal names are not up here, which is good. And I am recording this because I'm going to use this for training. Okay. So leading in, thank you for attending this meeting. The reason we're having this meeting is because I just had franchise owners come in from across the country. This is Utah, Texas, Florida, all over the place. And the common denominator is they can't recruit agents. And they're shocked that we are able to recruit agents as well as we do. So one of them said at the end of it, said, it'd been great if you would have brought in somebody who doesn't do your business model, doesn't believe in your business model, none of those things, and just try to flip them and see how it goes, knowing that you're not going to do it, but just try to flip them. And so, you know, you guys are from all over the place. We're going to have people from around the country doing this. This is people that even if they wanted to join, couldn't, and they don't believe in the model and they're not doing the model. So this will be a good focus group for me to kind of learn how other people think. But it'll also be a great focus group for you guys because I'm going to show you how to do a lot of what we do. And if you're in one of my markets, then that'll give you some insight as to how to compete with us possibly. And if you're not in one of our markets, then there's a fair chance you will be at some point or be competing with somebody else. And so you'll kind of understand it better. Okay. So I'm going to give you a brief background as to how 1% List came to exist. And stop throughout this thing and ask questions. And at the end, I want you to just grill me. Okay. So I was a basketball coach. My wife was fresh out of the military. She was a school teacher, or I was a basketball coach and a substitute school teacher. She had just gotten out of the military and was studying to be a nurse. I apologize. And we had gotten married. We decided to move. My neighbor's house, he was relocating back to Houston and paying 5% to sell his house. And I was recommended to hire an agent who really wanted to charge 6%. And I'd never sold a house before. And I asked her, why are you 6% and my neighbors are paying 5%? And I will never forget her response to me. She said, if you pay me less, I'll do less marketing. And she said it just like that. And there was no justification of I'm better, I'm awesome, I'm anything. It was just, if you pay me less, I'm going to give you crappy service. And that was her point of view. But I caved and I hired her anyways. I can remember where I was when the universe struck me in the brain and said, call your agent. And I called her and she was showing houses in my neighborhood and was not showing mine. I had to beg her to show it because there was a feature on my house that was missing, but I had some other really cool features. She finally agreed to show it and they wrote an offer. My agent was not present when I signed that offer. It was some assistant who didn't even know my name. We got to a closing and she got paid both sides of 6% deal, and I felt like I'd been robbed. So when I moved, my wife and I decided to get into real estate because we figured she was the best agent as far as money goes, biggest agent in that market. I figured if we loved our people, if we tried hard, if we worked hard, if we did all those things, if our heart was in the right place, we would have to do at least as good as she does. We were wrong. Right? What makes you a top producer in our industry is not loving your clients or being a good realtor. It's how much money did you make? And I think that's a problem. Okay. And we tried everything. we put out Halloween trick-or-treat bags. We door knocked, we did open houses, we did everything. We sat in houses that were having art shows for free and had the rich people ridiculing us for how we looked. I mean, we did it all to try to get business and none of it worked. So I bet both of you probably know a top producer in your market that makes more money than you, that you feel like you're better than, you feel like they're sleazy, you feel like they're dishonest, you know they don't treat their people right, but yet they're a top producer and revered by their broker and their peers. Do y'all know somebody like that? Probably so, right?
I know a few.
Josh? I'm going to assume that.
Several.
Yeah. Okay. So we did one deal our first year and we worked our butts off. Now then, interesting thing, and I made this post last night. My first ever deal was a relocation property that I talked the seller into paying 8% on. Okay. It was in Normandy Oaks, Josh. This was a nice house. I talked him into it because I convinced him that the relocation company is going to pay the commission, which was true. So he should pay a huge commission to make his house sell faster. Relocation company called me and said, we're only going to pay you 7%. And I still thought, well, that's awesome. Then after I finally got the house sold and dealt with all the extra paperwork, paid the relocation company their referral fee, paid my broker their half, I made less than 1%. Okay. My first ever deal, I made less than 1%. To this day, agents will fight and scrap with other agents and complain if they are not given relocation deals. But they're making about 1% on relocation deals after they pay all their splits and caps. Anybody see the irony there? Is anybody with me? I felt like everybody was getting rich off me but me. Okay. And I also felt like my ultimate allegiance should be to my clients. But I had to convince them to pay me more money because I had to pay everybody else a bunch of money. Okay. It didn't feel right. And so I very quickly switched to a company where I had a 50-50 split. This one gave me a 90-10 split. And I immediately took that savings that I received just from having a better split. And I started reaching out to all the home builders in my area, telling them, I'm going to be full service, do a great job, list your house, and I'm only going to charge you this. If you're doing 10 houses a year, you're going to save a ton of money. And I slowly but surely got a pretty big foothold in the new construction market. And it started working too well, basically. Agents started figuring out what I was doing. Agents started complaining, and agents were saying I was bad for the industry. But I was making more money than ever. I was happier. I didn't have to grovel. I didn't have to do trick-or-treat bags. I didn't have to do door knocking and open houses. I didn't have to do any of that stuff anymore. And I was making more money. And so I was more happy because I had more listings to make me money. And I was turning those listings into more listings and buyers. But I was bad for the industry. And I just did not understand how it could be good for my family, good for me, good for my clients, but bad for the industry. So I realized I am not pro-industry, but I am pro-client and I am pro-realtor. Does anybody have any questions or want to push back on anything so far?
And I get it. I love it personally because I come from the car business.
I know.
And so when Kelley Blue Book came out, everybody was just gung-ho about, oh, we have the inside scoop, this and that, now we know what we should get, which, I mean, Kelley Blue Book, by the way, is, I think I said it's horrible, but it's not all that realistic. I mean, if you did NADA, that's way more accurate. But nonetheless, I like the fact that it's, hey, look, now roundabout, you have an idea. So me as a business person, before I'm a realtor, because I'm an investor too, I see numbers, and numbers make sense.
Sure.
So I get it. So I was actually kind of happy. I was like, well, hey, if you're going to do it across the board.
Sure.
Do it with insurance, do it with houses, do it with cars, do it with everything. That way we're all on the same level playing field.
Oh, well.
So I have no problem with it. I love it. Like
I agree. And I agree. And look, I'm about to kind of dive into some of those things. So some of the things that I don't understand, which I feel are anti-realtor. I don't understand why agents are expected to outwork or outspend their peers to get ahead, but are shamed for saving money for their clients to get deals. I don't understand why it's socially acceptable for realtors to pay for Zillow leads, but saving the public money to get more leads is wrong. To me, this is anti-client and anti-realtor on both counts. I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand a lot of this stuff. I don't understand why we pit lenders against other lenders to get the best possible money for our clients as far as interest rates. And Josh, I muted you for a second. I don't understand why we pit lenders against one another to get them fighting over their rates, but our commissions are sacred. And I feel that unfortunately many people in our industry do not have their priorities straight. Does anybody want to push back on anything I've said so far? Please do. Does everybody basically get it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I was speaking to a friend in the industry, and he said he believes deep down most agents agree with me on almost all this stuff, but where they get stuck is they think they're going to work harder and make less money. Okay. I believe agents only move because they think they will make more money. Do you guys agree with that? Josh, do you agree?
Oh, definitely. Volume.
Yeah.
All right. So if agents only move because they think they'll make more money, the problem is agents only do a certain amount of deals and they think the only way to make more money is to find a brokerage who will provide them a better split and cap. Ironically, these agents are saying, I want to find a brokerage that is comparable to my current one with better splits and caps so I can keep more of my commission. But when the public says I want to find a realtor who's just as good with lower fees so I can keep more of my equity, they are horrible and they get what they pay for. I literally changed one word. I went from commissions to equity, and realtors went from 100% on board to 100% off board. Okay. Agents will shift from brokerage to brokerage because they are the brand and they can do it. No one ever hired a brokerage to sell a house. They hired an agent. Nobody ever said, oh my gosh, I hired this company to sell a house. It's I hired this agent. Okay. The moment they become agents, they are trained to make some cute slogan or logo for themselves. Everything I touch turns to sold, black backgrounds with cursive white letters that nobody can read, that kind of thing that they think the public loves. Does everybody agree that that's kind of status quo for the most part?
Yeah.
Okay. So you probably would not be shocked to know my entire marketing strategy revolves around convincing the world I exist, as opposed to convincing them I'm like, everything I touch turns to sold, or the cutest logo, or the cutest headshot. I'm literally just out here convincing the world I exist. Right? So for agents that speak badly about us, I appreciate that. For agents that speak good about us, I appreciate that. If you look at our social media posts, you will see that there's a united front of agents against me and a united front of the public standing with me. Go look. The public is largely disagreeing with agents on this. It's tremendous. So the public believes more or less that every agent is charging the same high fees to do the same things. This is not to say that there are not rock star agents out there. There are a ton of them. But if you can imagine, you have 2 million agents that are real estate agents that are basically ducks sitting in a pond. And every duck is in that pond trying to be the cutest duck in the pond and the most likable duck and send the most birthday cards, pumpkin pie recipes, and football schedules. They have no differentiating factors, so you must love them. That's how they get you, is they hound you to death or you have to love them. But everybody pretty much agree with that. That's how we're trained. So the entire point of our company is to not be ducks. We're trained to be geese. Big, loud, honking geese that are not standing amongst the ducks saying, look at me and compare me to the ducks. That's my job. Look at me, I exist. Okay. The companies like mine that are not growing around the country from an agent count standpoint or from just a production standpoint, they are doing so because even though they've chosen to be something different, they've chosen the value proposition. They chose to be a goose rather than one of a million ducks. Most of them jump right in the pond and hide amongst all the ducks. And they hide the better value proposition and they hide what they do. And they're trying to still be the luxury discount agent. Okay, that's the problem. Anybody want to push back on anything I've said so far? No. So basically, and once again, there's no expectation on either one of you guys to join. You're not in my markets. I couldn't recruit you if I wanted to, but if I can show you a way to charge less money and make more money, would you be interested? If you agree that agents only leave one brokerage to another to make more money for the most part, and I am out here recruiting agents, those agents must believe that they're going to make more money with us. Otherwise, they wouldn't join. And if they joined and made less money, then they would leave. So if I can show you that there's a way to make more money, or should agents be interested? Would you be interested, hypothetically?
Yes.
Josh? I'm going to go.
Yes.
Okay. So simple economics. If you started charging 10% to list a house, getting listings would be impossible. But if you started listing them for free, you would have a ton of listings. Does everybody basically agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. The more you charge, the harder to sell something. The cheaper something is, the easier it is to sell it. Okay. Hey, Carson. So, and Carson, you missed about half, but I'll double back later. So would everybody agree that the more you charge, the harder it's going to be to do deals? If your services were free, you'd get a ton of deals. So if Elon Musk decided to get in the real estate industry, Elon Musk would be trying to figure out what's my angle to disrupt the market. That's how he would think. Elon Musk would not become a real estate broker and say, by God, we're going to charge 6% and do exactly what everybody else does. Probably wouldn't do that. All right. He would look for something different. So I believe the answer to all problems in real estate is get more listings. If you want more listings, get more listings. If you want more buyers, get more listings. If you want more money, get more listings. If you want a better work-life balance, get more listings. If you want your weekends off, get more listings. Okay. If you want to undo any of those things and make your life work, just get 1,000,000 buyers and no listings. Okay. Would everybody pretty much agree with that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what this is, to use it in a different industry's terms, is a loss leader. A loss leader is a term used in retail as something that gets you more traffic and enables you to sell high margin items. So for grocery stores, this is milk, eggs, and bread. This is why milk and eggs are in the very back corner of the store. It's because they want you to walk by all the high margin items to get them. This is why stores are selling things dirt cheap. This is why Walmart sells groceries. Walmart doesn't make money selling you groceries. They just want you to buy a Roku and a laptop while you're there. Okay. They will give you groceries. Okay. Just please buy a grill and your razor blades. All right. So you can pretty easily predict who's going to make the most money in retail by who's losing the most money or who's selling the highest volume of eggs, even though there's no profit in it at all. So would it shock you to learn, like, does everybody agree with those basic economic principles? Does that ring true with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Carson, yeah. Josh. So we use listings as loss leaders. Okay. Only we are still crazy profitable selling homes at 1%. So our loss leader, we still make a lot of money on, but we don't look at listings as a revenue grab. If I had an option to get somebody to sign up for a listing at 7%, or if I could take 3 1% listings, I'm going to take 3 1% listings. It's, even though there's technically less money there. Okay. More listings is going to make me more money all day long. That's how I built my business, was giving builders savings and just cornering the new construction market with my signs everywhere. Okay. Listings are a tool to generate more listings, which generate good buyers. You're generating the buyer that their house is under contract, they need to hurry up and write an offer, or you're generating the buyer that is out there shopping for houses, and when they figure out where they want to live, they need to list their house and then they're going to buy, which is even better. So in a way, listings are little billboards for our company. Okay. These are the buyers that you want. Just like retailers with their loss leaders, lots of listings creates lots of opportunities to make money and drastically expand your sphere and your pipeline. Everybody agree with that? Anybody want to push back on that? No?
I don't want to push back, but I did have a question though.
Yes, sir.
What is the percentage of listings that then convert to buyers?
That's very hard to quantify, but what I can tell you is my average agent does 6 listings and 4 buyers out of 10 deals.
Gotcha.
But I can tell you my highest earners are more like 75% listings. And the reason is because they start realizing I can take 3 listings faster than I can go work one buyer. So unless that buyer is like juicy, like ready to pop, then they're going to refer it out, or they're not going. I mean, it's just not going to be their focus. Okay. So how do we turn listings? How do we turn realtors into listing machines? Content and common sense. We have free graphic designers that create free content for our agents on demand. Okay. Everything from listing presentation videos in graphic format with voice actors, for sale by owner conversion videos with voice actors, Facebook video content, social media graphic shares. All of that content is created by my team for my agents for free, and always will be. To my knowledge, we are the only company in the country to offer free graphic design services to our agents. Okay, we create that content through an intranet that we call Tacklebox. Literally, an agent can log in and click a button and ask for something, and they get it. Okay, I'm happy to show it to you, but I mean, I can show it to you later if you want. But basically, every time my agents do anything in real estate, they get a free, perfectly branded social media share. So if you list the house, you're gonna get a just listed social media share. If you do a price drop, you're gonna get a social media share. Okay, if you put under contract, social media share. Once you sell it, social media share, showing how much money somebody saved. If you just go look at my Facebook profile, you'll see them all over the place, from all over the country. Okay, and the reason this is important is because, once again, all the other agents working for other companies, they're minimizing their brand because their brand has no value. Okay, they have to sell themselves. Our company has an inherent value proposition, which is we're going to list your house and be awesome at it for 1%. And so my agents are trained, push 1% everywhere. So even though some of the brokerages that you guys may work for are way bigger than us, the problem is they look really small because Carson is not going to push his brokerage. He's going to push his face. He's going to diminish the brokerage while his face is pushed. Whereas everywhere you look, I have an agent posting 1% list all day long. Boom, 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 boom. You can't look anywhere without seeing it. Once again, I am not in the hey, you love me business. I'm not sending you pumpkin pie recipes and football schedules. I'm in the hey, I exist business. Okay. If I exist and I get to compete against Carson at a listing appointment, then that's my goal. Okay. So to the public, our brand seems huge because my agents are rallying around a singular logo, brand, and message, being that they are a full service smart agent that will save you a lot of money. Meanwhile, the other big box brokerages that can afford a whole staff of graphic designers, they do not offer this services because their agents would not use it, because they would have 400 brands for all 400 agents. Okay. So my number one rookie agent last year listed 38 houses and worked 28 buyers. She quit her job working for the school board in early spring. Then she got hit by Hurricane Ida and still did 63 deals. Okay. She accomplished this on her own with no office, no purchase leads, and with only a sphere of influence and our content. That's all she had, was years of working for the school board, our content, and a better value proposition. My biggest success story was I took a kid who was a physical therapy tech. I say a kid, he's in his 30s, but he was a physical therapy tech, never been in sales before. I got him a real estate license. I moved him to Baton Rouge, where we had zero market presence, and he finished in the top 50 of all realtors. And how he did it, okay, we're talking 15 million in sales his first year, and he's never been in sales before. All right, how he did it was he would call for sale by owners, and he would say, if you could hire a full service local agent for 1%, would you like help? And then he managed objections, and a lot of them said yes. So typical agent in my market doing 4 or 5 deals, making about 2.5% per deal. April Horn, the agent, did 63 deals, made 1.7% 63 times. Okay, same amount of time, with virtually no marketing budget or anything else. She took a just huge book of listings, which she flipped into more listings and buyers. To my knowledge, she had a 100% success rate on every listing appointment she went on, because she probably would have called me if she missed one. And her conversion rate was basically 100%. Mine is over 99. I can tell you of 2 listing appointments that I went on and got in the entire time I've had this company. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, I'm going to pitch you to list your house. Does anybody have any questions before I do? Nope. Okay, so if you want to take notes and write down stuff, here's our listing presentation. I'm going to present it to you just like I present it to the public. Okay, there's only 6 ways that houses sell. I'm going to give you the odds of selling your house by each one of those means. Okay, the first 3 things. The first thing that a realtor is going to do is put a sign in the ground that says for sale on it. Statistically, that gives you a 7% chance of generating a sale on your house. Okay, now that varies across the country, but basically you've got a 7% chance of somebody driving by or a neighbor seeing it and wanting to buy the house. So you generated a sale from a sign. 33% of all sales come from the multiple listing system. This is what agents use to market their listings to other agents, which is interesting because agents are only finding houses for their clients on the MLS 33% of the time, which means most of the time the public finds a house and then they call their realtor, which probably won't shock you. 44% of all sales come from the internet data exchange, which is what takes a carbon copy of every listing on the MLS and puts it on every single brokerage imaginable: Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, Trulia, every agent that has a website. It's 44% of all sales. Okay, combined, that's 84% of all sales that really I can't influence. And I tell the public this: you're not hiring me because I'm a great marketer. Okay, my sign says for sale on it just like everybody else's. I got no sway over the MLS, and Zillow doesn't even have control over Zillow at this point. Okay, those are the first 3 ways that houses sell. Okay, so here's the 3 that agents can be influential on. How big is their network, and how good are they at social media marketing? That accounts for 14% of all sales. But if that's 14%, and that's rapidly growing, by the way, Facebook specifically, if Carson is competing with an 85-year-old agent from some other office, I'm going to go on a limb and say Carson's probably better at Instagram and Facebook marketing than she is. So this is where your agent can be a rock star. Social media marketing specifically. If you get the whole 14% from social media marketing, open houses, broker tours, newspapers, and magazines account for 2% of all sales combined. If you don't believe me, and I literally do this, I tell them, look at your spouse right now and say, honey, we need to move today. I'm going to need you to go to PJ's and pick up a magazine. I'm going to go driving around looking for balloons. They literally laugh. And I asked them, I said, COVID-19 basically shut down broker tours and nobody's doing open houses. How did we have the greatest sellers market in history? And they just sit there and think. I'll show them a magazine with a huge picture of a realtor and a little bitty picture of a house. And I said, do you think this magazine is here to sell your house? And they will say no. And I tell them these are the most expensive and time-consuming forms of marketing, and they are by far the least effective. And they say, yeah, we believe that. We already understand. They get it. So on the next page, I show them our sales record. We are the third fastest growing privately held brokerage in the country. We grew our revenue 1,114% over the past 3 years. We're a veteran-owned company, one of the 100 fastest growing veteran companies in the country last year. I show them how much money they're going to save versus paying 6%, and I show them we have franchise locations across the country. Okay, so it works. Obviously, we're selling a lot of houses. We sold over 1,000 in the greater New Orleans market last year. So then we get down to the final page, which is truth. The number one thing that's going to make your house sell is price. Number two thing is the amenities in your house, the condition of the house, and location of the house. If those are great, guess what? The price goes up. Okay. If you got a great house, great location, pool, all that stuff, guess what? Everybody's going to fight over your house. You don't need to pay 6%. You're giving up extra equity that you can keep. If you've got a house that's in bad shape, maybe it needs a new AC, you're almost upside down on it. If you pay 6% to sell it, you are now making your bottom line worse, and you're still going to have to fix that AC, and you're still going to be even more upside down. You need to use my savings as a tool to help you sell your house. Okay. If we get feedback that comes through, says, love the house, I hate the fact that it's pink inside, offer a $5,000 painting allowance. I'm saving you 15 grand. You can afford to do it. When inspections come up and you need a roof at 6%, you might not be able to afford it, but if I'm saving you 15 grand, you can. And if after all that, you believe paying 6% is a great idea, by all means, pay me 1%, offer 5% to the buyer's agent, and they will line up down the street to sell your house. And they say, so you're just in it to help me? And I say, yes, I'm just here to help you. I'm going to provide professional photography. I'm going to handle all negotiations. I'm going to oversee all showings. We're going to work through this from beginning to end together, all the way through the closing. And I'm going to charge you 1% paid at closing. That's it. Okay. And then I ask them, where are you moving to? Because I would love to help once we get your house under contract. And they start talking about where they want to move. Can anybody push back on that listing presentation and tell me the flaws? Tell me where it doesn't work. Hit me with your objections. You can approach it as an agent.
Can't think of any.
You can approach it from the public point of view of, you know, here's where I'm going to tear this apart. Or you can approach it from the agent point of view. I don't care. Here's our typical objections that we get. Okay. Everybody thinks, most people say, well, I thought I was only going to pay 1%. Believe it or not, that's a very small segment of the public. They all know when they call, they say, so your fee is 1%. What are we going to offer the buyer's agent? And I tell them straight up, part of our market analysis when we do one of your house is going to be to see what other houses are selling for, so we know how you should be priced, but also to see what they're paying in commission. Because if you lowball a buyer's agent, you are literally fishing with no bait. And they say, okay. And so believe it or not, our buyer's agent commissions that we offer are typically above average, because our people can afford to pay above average. Now we get some that are just cheapskates, but we don't allow them to lowball. Okay. If I feel like they're going to lowball a buyer's agent and all you guys are going to be working for free to sell our listings, I would rather not take the listing than tell them, oh yeah, I'm going to make that work. And I know I'm not going to be able to get them the result they want. Carson, you look like you got your thin cap on, brother. What you got for me?
So yeah, I mean, I think the listing appointment and the listing presentation is really good. Honestly, it's obviously working. You know, you're stating all your numbers. Do you guys have any pushback on potential sellers saying, you know, I don't care what the buyer's agent makes? Do they put a lot of emphasis on that, where they say, okay, well, if you're going to charge 1% and you're looking out for us, you know, can we just charge them 1%? I know you said it's a very, very small percentage, but that's the only thing that kind of popped into my mind was, Specifically, I'll give you an actual real life example of me standing in front of a guy in front of his house. I just did the whole shebang, walked through his whole house. I actually have a listing agreement in my hand that's filled out, just needs his signatures. And he says, you know, so look, you said, and at the time I said, look, man, I'll list for 4. We'll do 2 and 2, blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, April Horn will list for 1. And I was like, okay, but she's only going to charge you 1%. And he was like, well, yeah, she's only going to charge me 1%. And I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm positive.
Good to be true.
He said, I'm positive. I said, or is she, or are they going to charge you 1% to list, 2.5 on the buyer side? They're at 3.5. I'm at 4. I think I can justify a 0.5% to have X, Y, Z. And that's where my listing presentation comes in. You ever have that pushback to where they truly think they're going to get 1%? Because I've actually had it happen.
No.
The crazy thing, I lost the deal. I did not get it.
Yeah.
He did not want to pay the extra 0.5%. And
Right.
I would get major pushback at my office if I list for 3.5% total. I already get pushback if I list for 4.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So first of all, we don't get very much pushback. And the reason is because, so like, I still list a house on occasion. I listed one yesterday. Okay. For whatever it's worth. I've got 2 houses listed right now for friends. Okay. One of them, I can't even get activity for the life of me. One of them, the moment I put a sign in the ground, I had two or three agents that were calling about it, and I had an offer within 6 hours. I couldn't even get it on the MLS. Okay. Literally gone before I could get it on there. I had an all cash offer, full price. That guy, okay, don't be shocked to know that the people that I'm having a hard time moving the house, guess what we've done? We've done price drops. We've increased the buyer side commission from 2 to 3. Okay. So who we're competing with in that market is DSLD, who's selling houses, and they're only offering 2%. So I'm trying to get 3% to a buyer's agent to get them to go that way, because I know people are motivated by money. It's just facts. Now then, my other guy, he asked, he's like, what do y'all typically offer a buyer's agent? I said, honestly, 2.5, sometimes 2.25. And he's like, well, what about 2? And I said, some people are doing it, but the market is shifting. And I told him, I said, if you want to do it, I'm fine with it, but understand that if you are not getting activity, that you might have to go down more in price when you would have been paying less in, just upgrading the commission to get activity. And he said he understands. Now, we happen to get his house under contract like that. And it's not because I'm a real estate rock star. I'm not going to go in there and say, woohoo, sold in 4 hours, because look at all the marketing I did in 4 hours. I put a sign in the ground. That's all I had time to do. So do some people want to be cheapskates? Sure. It's in all of our marketing materials that, our typical client's still paying the buyer's agent 2.5%, but it's negotiable. And I think that can be used as leverage across the board. You got a great house that everybody's going to line up to see anyways, pay 2. But if you got one that is going to have a hard time selling, you might want to pay 3. It's just, that's supply and demand. But I get your point, but we go out of our way not to mislead the public. Fair?
Fair.
Okay. So does anybody else have any objections to the listing appointment?
This probably doesn't apply very often, but coming from Redfin, I did run into this a couple of times, only twice in the few years that I was there. But it was actually a buyer, so it wasn't a listing, but it was a buyer client that came to me and said, I was told by this other agent that if you work for Redfin, they won't show, other agents won't look at your offer like they would, say, a Coldwell Banker or whatever. Do you run into that as well in your listing appointments, where other agents have shit talked you, pardon my language, and discourage them from listing with your company?
Sure. I mean, what we tell them is, look, buddy, you got a $10,000 house, or you got a $500,000 house. If there's $12,500 sitting on your doorstep, I know a lot of millionaires are going to pick it up. I think agents are going to show your house. But I also tell them, look, and I'm glad you asked that question, because this segues into something else. I also tell them, look, it's working over 1,000 times. If you combined our offices, we are number 5 for total volume in Greater New Orleans. We're doing over 1,000 transactions in the past 12 months. So obviously it's working somehow. Okay. And I tell them, if I ask you guys, what percentage of people me and Carson's age shop online for real estate? What would you think it is? Do y'all know? Come on, you're marketers. You're going against me. You should know these. You should know these things. Josh,
I would say 87%.
what is it?
So if I had to guess, I would say probably about 87%.
Carson, Casey,
Online?
yeah. What percentage of people your age to my age shop online for real estate? We're talking Generation X and millennials.
Majority, I would think.
Casey,
I can't answer this. We just had this conversation, so I know the answer.
I take that back.
when we get off here, go Google real estate in
Probably
digital age.
100%.
Over
Do you
99%.
mean solely? Do you mean solely online or just?
I mean, like which
as
one
part
of them
it?
are using internet search to find properties that they want to see? Not solely. I don't think anybody solely looks online.
Correct.
But I'm talking about relying on the
I was-
internet as kind of like the foundation for your search.
I would still say probably 98%.
99 point, I think it's 6, something like that.
Yeah, and I knew that.
All right, you ready? Take a stab on baby boomers. This is all from Real Estate in the Digital Age, a study done by NAR. You're welcome to Google it. Baby boomers, what you got, Josh?
I'll drop back to my 87 on that.
Carson? 97. 97% of baby boomers. All right, you ready? Now here we go. The silent generation, we're talking about the people who were born prior to or right about the time Hitler died. Carson might be too young to have been studying the history of Hitler. That's like 1,000 years ago for old Carson. Carson's got time on his side. Josh, what you think? What percentage of the silent generation? With their big ass fonts on their iPads, their text this big. What?
I'm gonna go with that 87. I have to be right sooner or later.
Yep. Well, you're on the high side this time. It's actually about 3 out of 4. Okay, it's 3 out of 4 people in their 80s and 90s. If they're still mobile, they're planning to move. Guess what? They pull out that iPad or they go online and they are shopping online. So here's the question. If realtors have been charging 6% since 1885, run around the plains trying to not get bit by a rattlesnake and die, and now we got the MLS, it's completely unshackled us with a marketing burden, so to speak, and everything has totally changed with technology, how is it we're still charging the same fees?
This is my point every time somebody shits on discount realtors. Thank you.
And y'all are welcome to jump in whenever you want. And look, even going beyond that, when we have realtors who will jump from brokerage to brokerage to brokerage because they understand they are the brand, and they're going to do their 6 or 7 deals, and they need to go and move to the best place with the best split, the best cap, because technology made it possible to run cloud-based brokerages. How many of those cloud-based brokerages said, all this savings from brick and mortar and all these things, we're going to give that to our consumers? No, we're going to use this as bait to recruit more agents. Boom, industry. There's a lot of silence coming from you guys. So if you can imagine, my job is not to be the cuter duck than Casey or Carson. My job is to say, hey, public, doesn't this nerve kind of hurt? And by the way, we're really good and we're going to save you a lot of money. Does this rub you the wrong way? By the way, we're going to save you a lot of money. And for the record, I just got off the phone with a broker from one of the biggest companies down here in Lafayette before I got on here. That's why I was a couple minutes late. I told her straight up, I was like, look, and I'm going to name names, I don't care. I started, and some of the agents when I first started, I'm talking Alice McNeely, Tammy Whitehead, Louise Brady, Lynette Boudet, Felicity Kahn, Jennifer Rice. There's badass agents in my market who are Mercedes-Benz of agents. They're going to get their 6% because by God, they feel like they're worth it, and they compete with me on a daily basis, and they don't cry, they don't whine, because they're like, you know what, we're going to take the Pepsi challenge. Because Mercedes is not threatened by Hyundai. They're just not. Okay? The only people threatened by Mercedes, or the only people threatened by somebody like me, is somebody who is a Hyundai masquerading as a Mercedes. Does anybody want to disagree with that?
I love it.
I was about to say,
Josh,
I don't
you're a car
disagree, but
guy.
I like the analogy.
I love it.
Josh, you are a car guy. So here's the thing. I don't have a problem at all when they beat me. And they do sometimes. And God bless them. Okay. More power to them. Okay. I am pitching something different. Believe it or not, I end my listing presentations with this. It's literally a block that says communication. I tell them straight up, you know what you're not hiring right now, and y'all gonna be shocked when I tell you this. You know, I tell them, you know what you're not hiring right now? A best friend. I am not gonna call you and be like, oh my God, my coffee's wonderful. The sky is blue. Do you hear them birds chirping? Okay. I tell them I sell more houses. I make the argument my agents are better because we're not overflowing you with love and emotion and gifts. What we're doing is we're saying we do a ton of deals and we know the market better. We know contracts better because we look at them all day. And so I straight up tell them, I'm not going to call. Well, we might wind up being best friends. I've got some clients that I now hang out with and they're cool as hell, love them to death. But you're not hiring me because I'm your best friend. I'm not going to call you every day for no reason. I'm going to call you and say one of two things. I've got a lead that I'm chasing and I need to know this information, or your listing is stale and we need to do something. But I'm not going to sit on you like you're my only egg. Okay. But here's the cool part about that. The cool part about that is I'm not making them fall in love with the persona of me. I'm making them realize the overwhelming truthiness of my listing presentation and the actual facts of the market. Zillow is Match.com for houses. It's Tinder for houses. They're going to compare your house against every other house. The more you pay in commission, the worse condition your house is, the less somebody's going to swipe right and the more they're going to swipe left. That's just reality. That's facts. And so I tell them, you know, you're not going to hear from me every day because I'm doing a ton of deals. But because I'm doing a ton of deals, you know it works. And so guess what? If it's not working for you, there's a reason. And it's probably not because I forgot to hit the easy button. It's not that I forgot to hit the easy button. It's because people are not choosing your house. And there's only one reason. It's price. It's always price. It's just price. So you can make it nicer and leave the price alone, or you can make it cheaper because it's price 100% of the time. It's not because your realtor didn't do enough open houses. And I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to shut up, and I hope you guys rip my guts out. Okay. There are things flying around the internet that realtors use, like 183 things that realtors do for their clients. That is the type of crap that has us winning even more. Because when I walk into a restaurant and the hostess sets me down and she's like, bro, did you see I gave you a table? You're sitting in a chair. Look at this value I'm providing for you. No, you're not. I expect you to do a CMA for me. I expect you to communicate with me. It's your job. It's not a value add. That's my last little complaint. So, who brought objections and who wants to hit me? You can either hit me from the standpoint of the public and say it doesn't work, or you can hit me and say, I think I'm going to make less money.
So I actually like it. So again, I'm an investor first before I'm a realtor. So with that mindset, it's just different. I like the very no nonsense approach. And if you're dealing with, I'm assuming that the bulk of people listening are probably on the higher end, which would make more sense because they're smart people. It's just no nonsense. Like, hey, look, you're not getting a friend. You get supposed to sell your house quick. It's business.
This is somewhat
And so they
stereotyping.
can. What's that?
This is a little bit of stereotyping, but and I don't have anything to back this up. But the people living in more modest houses, so to speak, they don't have 10 friends who are realtors. The people living in the nicer, the upper middle class, upper class homes, they know 10 realtors. They're going to piss off 9 of them with whoever they hire. They wind up hiring us because they're like, you know what, I'm going to piss off everybody. I might as well just piss off everybody. The typical agent that joins, like, we had a party the other day and I had realtors walk up to me and say, I just joined and I have my first $800,000 deal, and holy shit, this is crazy because I used to do 200s. And I mean, their price points go up. They just do. Now, of course, we still get lower end properties. And here's one objection y'all didn't bring up. Well, what about lower end properties? Are you going to charge 1% on a little bitty one? I mean, some of our people, they might charge a slightly more, but we're not bumping it to 6 or 7%. They might charge a little something to cover some costs, but for the most part, all we're doing is putting signs in the ground. I have an agent that's going to want to take it. Some of our best ever clients was $150,000 houses because they called us because they had one to sell, and come to find out they had 20 or 30 of them to sell. And then we became really good buds, and they sold their $2 million house with me too. All I'm doing is creating relationships.
So I do have a question just to kind of curb costs. How do you go about with photos? I mean, is it just like a generic, you know, 10 photo shooter, or how does that look? And the only reason why I'm asking is right now I use Matterport, which is anywhere from $250 to $300 a house. So I'm just thinking on cost effectiveness for as making numbers work.
Yeah, unless it's land or unless it's really, really, really low end properties that are in bad shape, we're going to do professional photography just because it's cost effective. We wind up being a large chunk of business for some of these professional photography companies. So they'll, 15 photos for $100 just because we're going to keep the photographers busy.
Gotcha.
We don't typically do Matterports unless it's a really high end house, and virtual tours, all that stuff. I mean, what are we talking about? We're really talking about a slideshow. Now some of our agents go really the extra mile. Like Sam Benson goes nuts. He creates video content, like professional video content on all kinds of stuff. Some of our agents are doing open houses and broker tours and print. We just don't make it a focus of what we do.
Gotcha.
Carson, where you at, bro?
Yeah, so one thing I kind of wanted to bring up was, so I kind of mentioned this to you on the phone whenever we talked about this. So after losing a deal or two to somebody, you eventually sit down with your team and you say, hey, what's going on, right? What are we doing wrong, or what are we missing? What's the puzzle piece that they have that we don't have, essentially, is what we sat down with my team and I said, hey, look, we got to figure something out. Because something that kind of rubbed us the wrong way was I actually had someone who was going for sale by owner. They just didn't want to list with a realtor, but they kind of wanted me to be there to do the financial stuff. So they were just going to charge me I was just going to charge them just flat fee.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a 1% list person in my area bring the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And when she brought the buyer, she wrote in her contract that because to backtrack, I'm going to call them my clients, even though they weren't technically my clients, right? The sellers were like, well, what are they going to charge? And I said, oh, well, they're going to charge 1%. I mean, read the label, right? Just read the label. They're going to charge 1%. When she comes back and she says, I want 5%. And I was like,
what my agents did?
Yeah. So you want 5%? I said, well, what is this? Can you justify it to me? And she said, well, it's a finder's fee. And I was like, a finder's fee? She's like, well, they're not paying you, so I feel like I went out of the way to find the buyers to get them to you. And I said, well, what I feel like I'm doing now is me and my clients are now having to pay for your business model because you're listing for 1% a ton. You're not making a ton of money, or maybe you are making a lot of money, but why not charge 1% to bring the buyer and just move on? I feel like almost we're getting the back end of it and saying, hey, I'm not making enough money. So now that I'm bringing a buyer, I got to charge you, out the wazoo so I can try to make some money back. And I was like, this totally rubbed me the wrong way. So I don't know if that was just a instance or what happened.
That shouldn't happen. And I would appreciate if you would let me know offline who that was, because I'd like to talk to them, because we literally have training in our stuff that says this is not a bait and switch. They are going to say that you have hidden fees. They are going to say that, there's this, and this. That if that's what we were, it wouldn't work. And so I train my agents specifically not to do that. Okay, so please tell me who it was. Going a little bit further down the road on that, though, I don't believe that you should pay a buyer's agent 1%. Okay, and this is why. If I told you guys you could have a listing or a buyer today, is anybody going to raise their hand and say, hell yeah, I want that buyer?
Hell no.
Hell no. Okay. If I were to say it's because of two things. Number one, the marketability of just having a lot of signs in the ground. But then number two, buyers are way more work. Does anybody disagree with that? No. Okay, so if you work more, should you be paid more?
Sure.
If I told you, how many hours do y'all think I have tied up in listing a house?
Two, maybe.
Huh?
Yeah.
2, maybe.
No, there's more than that. It's about 7 hours from the moment we meet you until the moment your house sells in most situations.
Gotcha.
The reason is we're going to meet you. We're going to get paperwork done. I mean, there's very rarely we have to think about it. Like most people like, yep, I'm ready to sign. In fact, I have to tell people to slow down and really deliver the listing presentation, because people are going to want to sign before you speak to them. Okay. Believe it or not, that's a problem that we have. And I tell them the problem with that is if they want $450 for their $400,000 house and you haven't given them the listing presentation, they're going to think, oh my gosh, they have this easy button and they're not hitting it. I should have paid 6%. I want them to understand how real estate industry works and how the marketing works and how people are shopping for houses. Okay, so I make them deliver it. But at the end of the day, hour to meet you, get paperwork done. Professional photography is 30 to 45 minutes. They're looking at 30 to 45 minutes, putting it on the MLS, getting a bunch of social media shares from our graphic design team that we provide, and putting it all over the internet, putting it all over social media, going nuts with it. We're 2.5 hours in right now. Okay. You have showing time set up. That's going to oversee everything. Now then, if I show it, it's obviously more time, but if just other agents are showing it, negotiating deals, I'm dealing with inspections, appraiser is going to schedule something, go out on his own and let me know if there's a problem, and then we're going through to closing. I mean, another 5 hours of work, maybe. Would you be shocked to know I have a 28-year-old in Destin, Florida, making $1,500 an hour listing houses? $1,500 an hour. I mean, that's brain surgeon money, boys and girl. And by the way, he just had a $140,000 deal where he dual ended like a $4 million property. You know why? Relationship he created through this business. Okay. But it's a strategy. It's just a different strategy. I'm not saying it's for you. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but it's just a different strategy. And it's a strategy that can be very, very profitable. Okay. Now, I'm not saying everybody's got to do it. And you might be one of those people that just loves to shower your clients with your attention. And you think that's what they want. And some people do. But I would argue that most people are more loyal to Amazon than anybody else. And they don't know a soul that works for Amazon. They can't even hardly get anybody on the phone. They just love the value they provide. They love the customer service. Okay. So I'm patterning my business around that. I'm not patterning it around Sears. We only got about 3 or 4 minutes left. Who's got the Mike Tyson right hook right now in their pocket?
I do have another point I wanted to run by you. So
yes, sir.
Something that we were talking about was kind of too over. I know you said earlier that listings won't be where we make a lot of money at because we're only going to be charging 1% because we're looking out for the sellers, obviously. So if other companies like XYZ, doesn't matter, whoever, would not negotiate with the buyers and provide that value to them that, hey, we're going to charge 5%, 6%. And then you bring the buyer and you're going to get your 2.5 or 3%, cosign. Do you think it's a crazy stretch to say that you guys need those brokerages to be in business so that your agents can actually make more money?
No.
Sense.
I get what you're saying.
You understand?
I'll put it to you this way. If I brought on an agent from same brokerage as yours about 3 months ago. And by the way, he's already taken a dozen listings. And a lot of those came from me because I literally get listings through the website where people just saying, hey, please come list my house. I literally get them coast to coast, which is nuts. But at the end of the day, if you're looking at the corporate hub of 1% list, I don't know if you can tell, but it's a 10 by 10 room. I have 2 employees in the entire company. Yeah, we go from Seattle to South Florida. And so basically, if commissions get compressed down to 3, is the big box brokerage going to survive? Like, did Sears win the fight against Amazon? No. Neither did Macy's. Neither did a lot of these other places. They can't afford it. In fact, one of our local, big major brands spent like several $100,000 renovating their office while I was growing. So we can't be going in any different directions. Okay. Push comes shove, I can operate really lean. I'm closing deals for 1/3 of the price of a Zillow lead. All in. I'm closing deals for 1/3 of the price of a Zillow lead. Let that sink in for a minute. All in. It's nuts. And it's just because I'm choosing to run it more efficiently. And I created a system in which people are chasing me to do business with me, which means I'm saving a lot of time. I got another focus group at 10. If y'all want to reconvene, now that y'all seen and heard this and come back ready to totally beat me up, I'm down. I'm doing one at 10 o'clock right now, and I'm doing one at 3 o'clock as well. I was shocked that I had like 10, 15 agents from around the country say, I want to do this. And most of them are like, I want to learn how this works because I'm dealing with somebody like you in my market. Carson, KC, Josh, I mean, I very much appreciate your time. I hope that you got something out of it.
Yeah, no.
I just hate that
appreciate
I
you.
couldn't beat you up. Like there's no, what you're doing is great, and I'm a little biased because I've been following you and I enjoy watching what you do. But I got into this business as a consumer, kind of like you, got screwed over listing my own house, and I think what you're doing is great.
Well, I appreciate it. And I'll leave it at this. I'm not anti-realtor. I have a problem with the industry because I feel like the industry is not on the public side. I'm pro-realtor. I want realtors to make more money. My vision is we need a lot less realtors doing a lot more deals because agents don't get burned out doing deals. Agents get burned out doing what it takes to do deals. And I think that's fact. And so my vision is agents making more money than they currently make. But we need 300,000 agents. We don't need 2 million. And we can't balance the industry around charging high fees because there's 2 million of us and we all need to survive. That's not good for our clients. And at the end of the day, our laser focus should be on what our clients need. As soon as I started being laser focused on what makes my clients happy, I made more money than I've ever made before. I appreciate you guys' time. I got to hop off here and hop on another one, but I would love to talk to all of you and come up with those objections and hit me after. We'll do an after show. Bye, guys.
Thanks. Bye.